Welcome, geeks and nerds, girls and boys, to another episode of Geek to Me Radio. Tonight, we have comic book writer and artist Brian Haberlin on talking about his new Aria Kickstarter, how you can get in and support this project as well. We'll talk a little bit about Witchblade and whatever else comes up, maybe the Pink Panther. After that, we've got Joey V. will be reviewing the new movie I Love Boosters. I'll be reviewing Mandalorian and Grogu, and we'll take your calls and questions. All that and more. Stand by.
Comics and movies and video games. And if you don't know Star Trek from Star Wars, we'll try to explain. There are 12 doctors for Hogwarts houses, one ring rules them all. To be the greatest Pokemon master, you must catch them all. You must catch them all. Try to catch them all. Gotta catch them all. Gotta catch them all.
And if you're driving around the greater St. Louis area tonight listening to us on the Big 550 KTRS celebrating 30 years of broadcasting, thank you very much for tuning in. If you're streaming us on the KTRS website or on the app, we appreciate you doing that, and hopefully you're getting a nice crystal clear signal. If you're watching us on YouTube and Facebook, hello, we're live tonight because Joey V is in the studio with me. Always glad to have him in. And of course, as always, if you're hearing us after the fact in the podcast form on whatever platform you get your podcast from, we don't care if it's Spotify or Apple Podcasts. We just appreciate you finding us and listening. Hopefully you've left us a nice 5-star review. If you haven't done it, that's a nice way to support the show. Helps us out in search engine optimization, gives us a little bump, and it's free to you to do it. So if you would give us a 5-star review, we'd appreciate that. All that said, we've got a full show tonight. We're going to go to my guest right now. First time on the show, and I'm so excited. Obviously, I've been a fan of his work for quite a while. Inkpot Award winner Brian Haberlin's joining us. Thanks for your time on a Memorial Day weekend.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. The Aria Kickstarter, I keep seeing this pop up on Facebook. And then my friend Chris reached out and said, hey, would you like to talk to Brian? And immediately, whatever you were promoting, my answer was going to be yes. But this is so cool. And I looked it up this afternoon just to kind of do my due diligence and see what I need to know. Fully funded already. Congratulations. It's amazing.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I actually screwed it up because the powers that be last week say that you got to launch Tuesday morning. Tuesday morning is when you went the, I don't know why, but that's what the powers that be. That's what they say. And it's like, okay, great. And over the weekend, we were tweaking with the launch page and stuff. And Monday morning rolls around, and my people were saying, well, you better submit it because it could take time. And I've done apps and stuff for the Apple Store and stuff. And I know it does take time sometimes to get things approved, right? And I was like, okay, boom. And I accidentally hit the launch page instead of. And I mean, I wasn't too worried about us getting what we needed to get. But you know how marketing is a big deal on that stuff, on
Absolutely.
How fast you get funded. And I thought, shit, all my marketing is not going to be in place, all that kind of stuff. And we got funded in less than a half hour.
That's amazing.
So,
Man.
Thank you all.
Well, I guess, I mean, that's a lot of people love seeing creators put stuff on Kickstarter anyway, because there's so many people are turning over to Kickstarter to do their own owner-based creations and things like that. And it seems like the comic book market is swinging in that direction a little bit. But then when there's a fan favorite character like Aria, this is kind of a cool thing that people kind of want. Oh, this is something they may have missed out on originally. They didn't get the floppies. They missed some of the trades that have come out, the collected editions. So that's kind of what this is. This is all of Aria in one collected work, correct?
Yeah, this is, and plus we're adding some new stuff. So we're going to have Janet Aclato's first sequential work, probably since Marvel's Eye of the Camera that he did.
Wow.
And Roy Allen Martinez, who was another one of the original Aria artists, and Lan Medina, who is the artist who started Fables, and was also an Aria artist. So there's going to be new material too, which I'm very excited about, but it's also almost all of his was out of print.
Right.
It hasn't been. And when the book launched back in the 90s, It was the second highest selling comic in the United States when it came out.
That's incredible.
It beat every DC Comics title. It beat every Marvel title except for X-Men, which was popular at the time. You know, so
Yeah.
it really shows kind of like if you line up really good art and really good writing, you can kind of break the curve to a certain degree, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's the 90s was kind of the rise of the independent, you really saw it come out with, you know, all the Marvel people leaving to co-found Image Comics and everything like that. And those books, I remember all the stuff that came out was just red hot at the time anyway. But I don't recall a lot of those titles outpacing, like you said, most of the big two comics on the shelves at the time, other than, like you mentioned, that's incredible.
Well, in the original ones, of course, you know, when they debuted, like Todd sold 5 million copies of
Spawn, Youngblood.
Spawn.
Yeah.
Spawn.
Yeah.
But yeah, it definitely, I mean, it was an interest because I joined Image in 93. And I started at Top Cow. I started Top Cow Productions computer coloring department. And I did not want to start coloring. I had my very first job offered a pencil at Marvel when I was 18.
Wow.
But there was no internet back then. You had to move to New York. $35 a page. You know, Jim Shooter, John Romita Sr. were the two people that offered me the thing, but it was like they wouldn't guarantee you work. And frankly, it was probably starting off more in the bullpen than it was doing anything else. And it's like, 30, I think I'm going to go to film school instead.
That's quite a, not because film school, I still think of that. It's a creative endeavor. That's still a lot of using your right brain stuff. So it doesn't seem like it's that big of a jump from going from writing and drawing comic books to film school. That to me is not that. Did it seem like a different worlds to you at the time?
No. In fact, it was, you know, I went there. My emphasis was screenwriting, and I have a master's degree in communications screenwriting too there at Loyola Marymount. But it was, I already was working as a professional artist from when I was like 18. And I was like, I think learning how to write would be a good thing. And it was, and thank God for other people. When I went to school, the entire roster of the writing staff at Loyola were these old golden age of television writers.
Wow.
And I mean, guys who worked with Rod Serling and just all these top guys. And it was just, you really got to learn a lot from those guys, you know.
Man, that's amazing. Yeah, I also do a Justice League podcast with Susan Eisenberg, and we just had Lauren Montgomery on the show. She graduated from Loyola as well, just talking about the how that structure of that school was and everything like that. And it wasn't necessarily an easy school. I mean, they changed the program quite a bit just when she started. But evidently, it's such you do learn so much. To your point there, it's got the industry professionals because they're right there in California, and you learn a lot from people who actually work in the business. So you enjoyed your experience there overall.
Yeah, it was great. And then my first jobs out of school were in comics. It was at Lorimar Television. I was in comedy and drama series development back then, working on shows like, you know, Perfect Strangers, Family Matters, Knots Landing.
Oh, wow.
Lois and Clark.
That's comic book adjacent right there. There you go.
That's comic book adjacent. And eventually we were purchased by Warner Brothers, but I quickly realized I didn't want to be a television executive. And I'd go down to San Diego Comic-Con with my portfolio in hand and get rejected like everybody else. 1991, 1992. Then 1993, a friend of mine said, "Well, why don't you have a small? I got a booth in the small press area. You want to join me?" And I was like, "Okay, yeah, great. I'll join you there." And I had a CRT monitor that was about that wide and about that deep and probably weighed about 150 pounds.
Brought
and
that with you.
had a CG animated Spawn on it with the cape coming down on the ground and stuff like that.
Man.
And behind me I had this big inkjet print of a Green Lantern that I did with a 3D model power battery behind him and all. And everybody and their mother offered me work.
And to think about now, that could all be done on your iPhone. That's, you wouldn't have had to lug that huge monitor and printer and everything there. That's crazy to think about in just that short of a time span, how far technology's come along.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Do you think?
But yeah, I was there at the beginning. I was there for conversations like because when I first joined Top Cow and Wildstorm and Will's Portacio were all together in the same open office plan office. And I still remember back then because the bubble had already started kind of to burst, in comics even back then. And I still remember Jim Lee and Scott Williams and Mark having a conversation that was by them before. It was like, and Jim was saying, "Do you think we should cancel a book if it sells less than 500,000 copies?"
Man. And now you look at some of these titles that are, I saw one of the numbers. I could not believe that the comics, because when Jim Shooter recently passed, we played my interview with him on the air, and it's amazing the stuff that was selling back then a lot of the books that were the top sellers by today's standards would be considered failures because they weren't hitting certain numbers. And it's interesting to see how many comics are being sold, and it's obviously people are buying them and reading them online nowadays, but just the overall, I know the trend's not down because I go on comic books on new comic book day every Wednesday, and there's still a bunch of people at my local comic book store. I don't know if it's just their we could sit here and do a whole rabbit hole about why the comic industry is in the condition it's in. I think there's too many titles and not focus on quality. They're doing quantity over quality. That's my layman take, but I'm not sure if you have a different view. Or
no, I think you're kind of absolutely right. I mean, when I first started collecting when I was in my teens, it was spinner racks at liquor stores and 7-Elevens.
Yep.
I think there was one comic book store close to me that was way down, and it was like it was the soup Nazi of comic book stores.
Really?
Like, so Wednesday day, all the comics, new comics were behind her and behind the shelf, right? And you got in line, okay, can I see Uncanny X-Men? And just bring it down. You could look at it for like a second. You buy it or not? Move on. Next.
Wow.
It was literally the soup Nazi of comic books.
Is this store still around? I mean, she might not be, but
she was pretty old even at that time. But
my gosh,
yeah.
I don't recall ever having to ask to see a new comic book. It's like you're going into shop for fine jewelry.
It was awesome. They were all behind her. You could not. There was no way for you to grab a book and look at it.
I guess at least you're getting near mint comics off the shelf, and it's not being all bent up like you said, the spinner rack. I went to my local Schnucks grocery store up in Florissant, and I'd get them off there. And I remember Amazing Spider-Man 361 coming out. I had to get one from the very back because all of them were kind of had that little crinkle right by where the number box was because everyone's folding them down. I was like, oh my gosh, you're killing me. So I had trouble finding a near mint Amazing Spider-Man 361 at the time, which my OCD, if I saw a little bit of a crinkle, I couldn't get the comic anyway. So that's just me. Do you remember your first comic that you bought as a kid, going in and picking up your first one?
I remember. Well, I remember a road trip with family when I was a little kid, probably 10 or something like that. Stopping by, probably going to the Grand Canyon or something like that. Road trip, and it was like, oh, a Superboy. Grab a Superboy. But even then, I wasn't a fan of Kurt Swan.
Oh, really?
I couldn't get around the Kurt Swan artwork even at 10.
Wow.
And I really kind of then didn't get into comics until my friends in high school, Brian Holguin, who's co-creator of Aria, Kevin Holguin, his older brother, Kirk Delbeck, introduced me. They just cherry-picked the best of the best. It was like the first things they handed me were like Jim Starlin's Adam Warlocks.
Oh,
yeah. All this like killer cosmic stuff. And then it was like, I still remember, okay, they gave me all this great stuff. It's like, okay, what's next? It's like, well, there's this book called Daredevil. And it's like, well, what's that about? It's this blind lawyer who fights crime at night. I'm thinking, yeah, like that could be good, right? and it was the beginning of Frank Miller's run.
Oh my gosh. That changed the game for Daredevil right there. That was one of my very first issues that I picked up was I think it's 171, where it's him fighting Kingpin on the cover. And as soon as I read that issue, I was hooked.
Is that one with a big red background too? And he's like leaping, and Kingpin's like on.
Yeah,
Kingpin's here.
Kingpin's kind of like standing there like this, and Daredevil's kind of coming down at him.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
And then 171. No, that's 170. 171's the follow up, which is Kingpin kind of outline, and he's fighting Bullseye and the Hand in the center of it, because it was those two. Because I could not wait until I went back to the comic book store the next day to get 171, so I could find out. I was like, I didn't realize this was a 2-part thing. You had to pick up the next part of it. And then, so that's, I know artist-wise, you were influenced by a lot of different artists too, when you kind of started drawing and everything like that. Was it a certain style that kind of lent itself to wanting you to kind of pursue it?
Look behind me and see just part of my library of,
Oh, gosh.
just part.
Man.
Once I decided to get into it, I was blessed in that I don't live that far from Hollywood, is where I grew up, and La Cañada was the place where I grew up. So it was like a half-hour drive to go down. And there was a place called Bond Street Books back then. And most of their money, I'm sure they made, were making off selling Hollywood memorabilia, like headshots and placards and old film movie stuff, right? But they also had a section of comics, and none of them were bagged and board. You could go look through everything. And this is like everything from the 60s, 70s. And by the time I was late 16, I could tell every single inker that there was the difference between, oh, that's Al Milgrom, that's Vinnie Colonna,
Wow.
that's Terry Austin, that's and just picking up these books like Batman Family that I would never have picked up in a comic book store, but for free you pick it up. There's a big thing, and there's some reprints in there, but there's also Michael Golden's first work in there, P. Craig Russell stuff. It's just like, whoa, where's this come from? And then also you keep building off that stuff. So it's like you want more. It's like very quickly I was like, okay, what else is out there? And we used to then drive down to Little Tokyo in LA, right? And me and my friends had a certain amount of money in our pocket, and all the manga was shrink wrapped, and they did not want to open the manga. So we would like kind of judge the book by the cover. It's like, okay, I can buy these 3, and you can buy those 3. Check out,
swap them out,
hit and miss or whatever. And then seeing things like Luther Arkwright, Brian Talbot's work, and these guys who are just like, wow, you can do that with it. So it's not just superhero guys.
Yeah.
It can be all this other stuff, which was just mind-blowing and eye-opening, and always looking for that stuff that's like, it's like I often get invited to, most of my stuff gets published in Europe, and I get invited to those conventions, and boy, the European comic guys, oh my God, those guys are just another level.
Really?
Those guys. Oh yeah.
As far as collecting, or what? I mean.
No. I mean the artists.
And the artist.
Creator.
Okay, I thought. Okay.
And because they'll be like, when you go to those shows, you buy the books from the creators, and then the creators do the remarks for free, right? And they're not like American remarks where, oh yeah, the little head here and da 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 da. No, here's the front page of they're called albums, that are their hardcovers, right?
Okay.
So you buy the hardcover album, and pencil and ink the cowboy character on the horse with the tree, with the landscape.
Oh my gosh.
Out to the other side.
Wow.
It was like, the American artists are going, oh, Jesus, really?
Are the lines?
Because you would have people then and I didn't, the first show I went to, I didn't realize what was kind of going on. And you had the line of people waiting for one of these guys to do their drawings, right? And they'd have a line. And there was a guy who had a seat built into his pants, so he could sit there and wait in line, because he knew how long it was going to take.
That was going to be my question. Yeah. The length of time. Because I know I just saw Terrificon this past summer. Walt Simonson was there, and everyone wants a Walt Simonson sketch. So he's doing these, blank cover sketches. So the line was taking a while. And that was going to be my question, is if they're doing that much detail, are they just much quicker about it, or is the line just long and people are just going to have to wait?
They're very quick, but they will wait.
Okay. Huh.
And they're not. I mean, they're just buying the book. It's not like they're spending $500 for a commission or anything like that.
That's crazy. My gosh.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
And to one of your points you said earlier, you mentioned Perfect Strangers, and that ticked the back of my brain for some reason. I just saw March 25th of this year was the 40th anniversary of the debut of Perfect Strangers, which I remember seeing that show, coming home and watching it on, I think it was on Tuesdays on ABC, if I remember correctly. I remember coming home at night after, going to school, finishing my homework so I could watch the shows, and that was one of my older sister's favorites was Perfect Strangers, but that's hard to believe that was already 40 years ago.
Yeah. Don't remind me.
Again, if you're just now tuning in, we're talking with Brian Haberlin. The Kickstarter for Aria is online now. The Omnibus, you can get the collected works. He mentioned there's some new stuff in there as well. A lot of artists work on this. A lot of writers have come in and worked on this. You get the entire package plus the new material. And the good thing is it's already fully funded. So if you're interested, you might as well go ahead and support because you know you're going to get it. Are there still?
And we've already added, like, just because we just broke 1,000 people, we added a little pin of her pendant, enamel pin, and now everyone's going to get those. We added a print that everyone is going to get now. So as we keep going, there's definitely going to be more of that stuff. And there's all kinds of extra little things, like this is like one of the sculpts that we have.
Oh, nice.
That's one of the items.
Very
It's
cool.
based on the first cover, Hey, do you mind if because this will encapsulate it for people who don't know Aria. Can I read the quick little introduction?
Please, absolutely.
In the book. The first part is from Kildare's, who's the main character in Aria. Sometimes I look at this world and it moves me to tears. The joy and terror and the mad, bloody drama of it all. And I wonder why they, meaning us, never seem to really see it. Maybe one lifetime isn't enough, or maybe it's too much. I can't say. But the truth, to be perfectly plain, is that people are looking for magic in all the wrong places. And then for the quick sum up, somewhere around the corner, just beyond the edge of perception, lies a world you never dreamed existed. A world where creatures of ancient myth and gods long thought dead walk unnoticed along the crowded streets of Manhattan, where ladies of fairy dance lonely nights away, bathed in soft neon glare, where every shadow holds a secret and every secret has a price, where danger and wonder can be found at any turn if you only know where to look for it. And that's Aria.
Nice. And again, this if you missed out on this originally, like he was saying earlier, these are all out of print now. So this is the perfect way to get the entire omnibus. So you get all the new stuff. He mentioned some of the stretch goals they've now unlocked. I'm assuming there are more. If more people sign up, more stuff will be unlocked. You'll be able to get more stuff.
We actually had in the beginning we had some original art from the first issue, Florida Clado stuff. And then Jay's actually doing, he did 4 sketch cards. Those are all gone. I'm doing 10 watercolors of my own.
Gosh. Wow.
And there will be more added. Yeah.
So we'll have,
we have all kinds of fun stuff. Like, we have even these sculpted.
Oh, cool.
Things. We have lithophanes. We have special holo cards.
Oh, nice. Those are fun. I love. Gosh, I'm a sucker for holograms.
Yeah, we have a full set of those. So we have all kinds of fun stuff. That a lot. I mean, I'm very proud because this is our 3rd Kickstarter. I think people will never get our Kickstarters because I've been in publishing and stuff for so long. I know how to put together a book. Yeah. I know how to put together a book with like spot varnish, with all the special things that you want. This is gonna have a dust jacket, not dust jacket, but the slipcase, hardcover spot varnish, a reading ribbon, sewn binding, and everyone on all our projects that we've done so far have always been like the best, production that you can. But you only kind of get that by having experience of dealing with printers for decades. stuff. So
Yeah.
I think it's one of our edges.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say.
We definitely do not scrimp on the stuff that, you know.
Yeah, as John Hammond in Jurassic Park, spared no expense, right? I wanted to ask you too, because co-creator of Witchblade, we got a great TV series, albeit for just one season, sadly, on that. But I was curious, with Aria, with this omnibus coming out, it's had to have tickled your brain in the past if there was to do a series, or if they were to do a movie. Do you have, like, in your brain, do you have casting for who would be Kildare, who would be Mad Jenny, who would be Pug? Do you have, like, people you've had in mind? Has it changed since you first maybe conceived of doing a series or movie, or has that kind of just not been something that's been necessarily the forefront of your mind?
We did a script, and we were this close to being on the Sci-Fi Channel in the early 2000s. And there's a script that I'm probably going to put out as a free stretch goal,
cool.
early on, so that people can read the script. I do a lot of Hollywood side stuff too for all the properties that, it's funny because I did the math since 2011. I've done 2,759 sequential art pages.
No kidding.
For my different properties, from Hellcop to The Marked and Sonata and all these Image comics that I've created. So we do a lot of entertainment stuff and pitching and blah 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 blah. And it's funny with Kildare and Aria, and it's been long enough that you get disappointed. And it's like,
Sure.
Right now I haven't, on that property, I haven't thought of the casting again, because it just baffles me that it hasn't been made. But I'll tell you a much stranger casting story.
Okay.
And this goes back to Witchblade. So, I left Top Cow in '95. So I was pretty much had nothing to do with the TV series Witchblade, right? And I had my college roommate Anthony Sestaro, who was an actor, who called me up and go, "Hey, I just landed a series role." Oh, great! What is it? I'm Kenneth Irons in Witchblade.
Wow.
So what are the odds of your college roommate becoming your villain of
right.
your book you created without you having anything to do with it?
And he called you kind of like, "Hey, can you give me any tips on how to play the guy?"
No, you tell him to say, "Hey, I got this thing."
Oh, cool. That's wow. Talk about small world, but just the serendipity of that, man. That's amusing.
Yeah.
And again, if you're listening, Aria, the Omnibus, is on Kickstarter right now. You can back that. Are you very active in the Comic-Con circuit? Are you hitting a lot of cons? And if so, are there any upcoming that you can mention?
Yep. Next weekend, I will be at the amazing Las Vegas Comic-Con, which is at the Orleans Hotel in Las Vegas. That's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I will be in my usual place for San Diego Comic-Con.
Mm-hmm.
And I have 2 teaching panels that will be happening there. And then I have, first time I'm a guest at Dragon Con this year.
Oh, really? Gosh,
Yeah.
This is your first. I'm shocked that someone of your caliber, this is their first time they're having you out.
Well, I think they do more focus on gaming stuff, though, don't they, usually?
It's a good mix. It's like Dragon Con's one of the cons, I got to say. It's a third gaming, a third comic creators, and a third pop culture entertainment guests. They really kind of have a nice mix, more than most cons I've seen. They really kind of spread it out.
Yeah, so that's first time for that. Then I have the Demonakis brothers are putting on a new show in Omaha, Nebraska. So I'm going to do the Omaha guest there, and there'll be a guest at a show in Tokyo in December.
Oh, wow. Gosh.
And then I also have, so my fine art career has been blowing up lately. And so I'll be also in Laguna Beach Fine Art Festival starting at the beginning of July, going to the beginning of September.
Very cool. So when do you sleep? A lot of stuff happening. And then the Kickstarter, I'm sure, because I know a lot of people have said that keeps them very busy with all the stuff they're doing on this. I won't keep you too much longer. How long ago was the thought of the Aria Omnibus plan? Like, has this been a long time coming? Is it something you've kicked around and just decided, hey, let's go ahead and do it now? How long has the process been from conception of let's do this to the launch?
It was always kind of, I mean, Aria's always been kind of one of my crown jewels, you know, as far as things I've co-created. And it just seemed the right, I mean, we were getting our legs. So we did Stone, which was, you know, Aria came out of Avalon Studios, which was my first comic company. So that was Stone was our superhero property. The Wicked was our horror property. Hellcop was our sci-fi property. And then Aria was our fantasy property. And we did our first Kickstarter with Stone, and that did very well. And then last year we did my oil and water Kickstarter for my fine art, and that did well. And so it was like, okay, so what's the next thing? Because like you were saying, it's now a viable distribution market,
right?
You know, and everything we do also usually goes into the direct market at some point in the comic book stores. Like this will be coming out later in comic book stores as well. A different cover and da 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 da.
You'll miss all the stretch goals though if you don't get it during the Kickstarter.
you don't get all the fun bits.
That's the part about that's what brings people in, I think.
Yes, but the numbers. The reader numbers are always higher in the direct market, of course. But Kickstarter is a great way to help fund and keep those things going and build that audience as well. You know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Go ahead.
No, I was just double checking because I'm always horrible about checking the chats, and I want to make sure I'm not overlooking if anyone had questions for you. People are just commenting about they like Aria. Greek gods and gay mythology, definitely in. So you have Olivia Miller's excited to pick this up. Zachary Nathanson. Okay, I'm just making sure. I'm horrible about I get lost in the conversation and I pay no attention to the chat, so I'm trying to be better about that. As we let you go here, because I don't want to keep you too much longer on a Sunday night, especially Memorial Day weekend night. If people want to find out more about you, keep up with you, where can they find you online? You're very active on social media, the websites. Where should we send people?
I would say my Instagram, Brian Haberlin Official, is the main Instagram. And then I also have haberlin.com where I have stuff, you know, prints and stuff for sale and yada, yada.
Perfect. And we'll have links to those. If you're listening to this show in the podcast form, scroll down to the bottom of the page and we'll have links to the website in the show notes. And we'll have a link to the Kickstarter too, in case you're wanting to jump on that before it, so you don't miss out on the holographic cards and the cool pins he's got and everything like that. So I appreciate it so much. I'm going to throw it to commercial break. Stick right there for me because I want to ask you something off air. So stand by. But I appreciate your time. Thank you again.
Thank you guys so much.
Great pleasure to talk to you. Thank you. And we're going to take a very quick commercial break and make sure I get the right keys pulled up here. We're going to come back. Joey V is going to review I Love Boosters. I'll be telling you about my review of the Mandalorian and Grogu. This is Geek to Me Radio on the Big 550 KTRS. Please stand by.
Stunt course, indoors or out. The Stomper SSC Supercycles are cycles with speed. Stomper SSC Supercycles, available in 6 models, each sold separately from Shopper.
Katie, look who's dressed for a party.
A strawberry shortcake party is quite grand. All her new friends dress their best are on hand.
Plum pudding, how pretty. Thank you. Meet my friend Peach Flush. Welcome. Cherry Color, you're all dressed up. So's my friend Gooseberry.
Strawberry shortcake, you're a real party pleaser.
Thank you, Katie. It's because my party guests are easy to please.
New party pleaser strawberry shortcake and all her party pleaser friends are more fun than a party. Each sold separately.
Of course, the world's fastest train is taking off. Super turbo train with daredevil jump. Travels in scale beyond the speed of sound. So fast, it races up a wall. And even upside down. So fast, it makes the incredible daredevil jump and keeps on going. There's nothing else like it. Take control of the fastest and only airborne train. The new Super Turbo Train with Daredevil Jump from Tyco.
Strawberry shortcake's tickled 'cause she's found. 'Cause look-alike twins look alike upside down. Strawberry shortcake with custard and lamb and Ada with sugar woofer, each sold separately.
Sugar woofer, how do you tell the twins apart? I sniff them. They both smell lemony. That's why they're called Lem and Ada. But which is which? Dog defino.
New lamb and Ada with sugar woofer. Strawberry shortcake with custard sold separately.
They're here. Zero gravity cliffhangers, cause you race them upside down, plummeting through the giant loop as you reach for new speeds and use your skill to master the death-defying spiral and blast up the wall to zero gravity. Then turn out the lights and your Ignite glow.
No, make your with Progressive and treat yourself. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Great hair. May the force be with you. This is Susan Eisenberg, voiceover actress, and you are listening to Geek to Me Radio.
There she is, Susan Eisenberg, my co-host on the Justice League Revisited podcast. If you haven't had a chance to check that out, it's wherever you get your podcast from. Susan Eisenberg, the voice of Wonder Woman, and I go through and we watch Justice League from the beginning. The very first episode, Secret Origins. We're currently on Justice League Unlimited. We just dropped our episode of The Balance. Our guests were the writer of the episode, Stan Berkowitz, and we had Maria Canals-Barrera, the voice of Hawkgirl, on as well. And that's what we do. We have the writers, the musicians, the voice actors, the directors, the background artists, the storyboardists. We have them on and we talk about the episodes in their original airing order. So if you haven't had a chance to check that out yet, Justice League Revisited, wherever you get your podcast from. And again, just like Geeks Me Radio, please leave us a 5-star review. Susan Eisenberg was just telling me the other day, she goes, we haven't had a review for a while. I wish we could get some more reviews. So you'd make Wonder Woman herself very happy if you go leave us a 5-star review for Justice League Revisited. Want to make sure we tell you about our official comic book sponsor. Speaking of Aria, speaking of Witchblade, speaking of Justice League, Bugs, Comics, and Games. If you haven't had a chance to get out there yet and check it out, maybe you're new to the area, maybe your local comic book store is closed and you want to go check out a new place, go check out Larry's shop out there on Bryan Road in O'Fallon, Missouri. Bugs, Comics, and Games. You can like him on Facebook. You can follow him on Instagram. He does put stuff up there on Instagram as well. So if you're not anywhere close to St. Louis, but you want to say, hey, you know what, I'm looking for a Superman, Spider-Man variant that I wasn't able to find at my local comic book store, go to his Instagram page because he does list variants like that. He'll list old comics from the Golden Age, Silver Age, some Bronze Age stuff, and of course, new current comics that are selling out in a lot of places. He tends to get just the right amount plus a few extra. So if you're looking for it, he might be the good spot to go check out to see if your local comic book store sold out of a comic book like Dork, D''ORC. He's part dwarf, part orc. That's been selling out lately. Larry's had a couple copies left because he knows how to order. He knows what to order. He knows what people are going to want. He's been doing this for a while, so he's really knowledgeable about the comic book process, the ordering process, what people are going to like, what resonates with people. And I know he's greatly looking forward to Amazing Spider-Man 1000 that's coming out just a few months here. It's hard to think about. That's going to be its 1000th issue of Amazing Spider-Man. But maybe you want one of those variants that are going to come out. You can pre-order it. Start a pull list at Bugs, Comics, and Games. Tell them what you want. Maybe you want to make sure you don't miss Absolute Batman. Maybe you want to make sure you get Infernal Hulk. And maybe you want the variant of Amazing Spider-Man 1000 that Eric Larson did or one of the other variants. Put it on your pull list. That way you're not going to miss out on it. He'll make sure he orders it for you. And then join the Avengers Club. Then not only do you have a pull list where all your numeric comics are put aside, but you're going to start saving money every week. You're not paying full price for the comic books right off the shelf. How cool is that? Bugs, Comics, and Games. Again, like them on Facebook. Follow them on Instagram. We're very proud to have them as the official comic book sponsor here on Geek to Me Radio. Shift gears from comic books to movies. I know Joey V, who a lot of you, I think, it's just seeing the text and everything, a lot of you like Joey V's movie reviews better than you like mine. I'm a little hurt, but Joey V's on the same team as me, so I don't take it too personally. But he ended up seeing I Love Boosters, and he was excited to talk about this. When you like the movie, it sounds like.
Very much so. I don't think the rest of America has had time to see movies this weekend because some of the newer stuff is way at the bottom of the list we were talking. It still seems like Michael Jackson is just hanging in there. I bet because it hasn't been released in Japan yet, it'll make $1 billion. It's almost at $800 million.
Yeah.
And once Japan gets a hold of it, then it'll be the $1 billion baby that everyone was afraid to say because we were all scared he was going to hang that baby off of the side of his balcony.
Too soon. Too soon. No, I saw Michael Jackson still today, number 3 on the box office. That's crazy.
I want to talk about I Love Boosters, even though it came in 8th place and only made $4 million against a $20 million budget because it is one of the most bonkers movies I've ever seen. So I Love Boosters. It's about a fearless crew of inventive young women who turn shoplifting into a radical act of defiance. And the best word to describe this movie is bananas. It is bright, it's colorful, it's messy, it has a bunch of people in it, and it's a little bruised, but it's still well worth consuming. And I really recommend people watch this director, Boots Riley's last movie, to see if they can handle I Love Boosters. His last movie came out in 2018, and it's called Sorry to Bother You. And it's about this black guy who's a telemarketer that learns to harness the power of his white voice so that he can make the sales and he becomes really rich. But the ending of Sorry to Bother You is so crazy that if you can handle that, I think you'll be able to handle I Love Boosters. Instead of it being all crazy at the end, it just starts ratcheting up as it goes along.
Okay.
And I Love Boosters, it's about professional shoplifters. And the movie opens up with Keke Palmer. She's a national treasure. She's got so much charisma.
Loved her in Nope.
She is at a nightclub, and she's dancing on this guy, grinding up against him. And she says, "Hey, what's your shoe size?" And he says, "I'm a size 12, baby." She says, "Why don't you come back to my place?" And then when she opens up the door, it looks like a department store in her place. And then she starts trying to sell him shoes. Like, "I heard you were size 12. Pick something out. These are on sale." He's so mad, but the deals are so good. He says, "All right." And also I'm a size 10. So he lied about his shoe size.
Of course he did.
And she is living inside of an abandoned chicken restaurant. And they have to shower inside the sink where they normally do the dishes. And they're using the big sprayer that they would use on the dishes, and they've got a curtain set up, and just right off the bat you can tell that there's something different about this movie. So if you can handle Sorry to Bother You, which is free on Canopy, that library app that people can use if you have a library card, watch that and then try and go and see I Love Boosters. And something that people may have a trouble contending with is that it's glorifying shoplifting, but think of it more like Robin Hood, stealing from the rich and giving to the poor. In this one, Demi Moore is the fashion designer, and she uses slave labor to actually make her clothes and increase her profits. And the people in this Bay Area movie, mostly San Francisco, they're having a hard time making ends meet. It's so expensive to live in San Francisco that they do resort to shoplifting. This is actually a really common thing. If you go to San Francisco, you'll be warned, if you're a tourist, not to leave your luggage in your car because someone will come along with a spark plug because of the ceramic that's on a spark plug. They'll throw it through your car window, and that'll instantly break the glass. They'll take off with all your stuff while you're inside In-N-Out Burger, and you won't even know what hit you. This is wild that they'll steal from, let's say, a CVS and then sell the stuff right on the sidewalk outside the CVS for cheaper. So that's why they lock everything up in California. Yeah. It's wild out there.
Yeah, that's, gosh, so
it's really...
But it's not condoning shoplifting, you're saying?
I would say not. Just think of both sides of the scales of justice. There's not really two wrongs make a right, but, think of the position that these people are in. And it's so colorful, especially because Demi Moore's fashion line, she only sells monochromatic colors in each store. So if you want the green collection, you got to go to one store. If you want the yellow collection, you have to go to a whole different store. She lives in a skyscraper that is sinking into the ground in San Francisco, which is based on a true story. So if you're in socks in this skyscraper, you'll just start sliding across the floor because it's basically at a 45-degree angle. And it's very similar in vibe to Everything Everywhere All at Once, which won Best Picture a few years ago. So I think audiences are ready for something this weird. But Everything Everywhere All at Once does have a time travel aspect with the multiverse. This has a different take on that I had never seen before with their time travel plot, and I was all for it.
So this is also a time travel plot in I Love Boosters?
And then there's action scenes that take advantage of miniatures, and there's stop motion animation. This is like Pee-wee's Playhouse with the music and the colors. It's like an R-rated Looney Tunes movie with the action. you just have to see it to believe it.
Huh.
And it's so dense with its content and its jokes. I can't wait to watch it at home again when it comes out because I need the subtitles on. I must have missed a bunch of stuff. And there are some people that walked out. They just couldn't handle how weird it was. Now, maybe they were already on drugs and how trippy this movie is was giving them a bad trip. But I could tell that there's just some audiences that won't be able to handle I Love Boosters. So just for how balls to the wall crazy it is, I highly recommend it. I give it 4 out of 5 stars.
Really? Okay.
And if you're scared to pay for it, it's actually in T-Mobile. They have an app right now where they're giving out $5 tickets. I already called my dad and got his code, so don't call my dad. His code's already taken. But if your parents have T-Mobile or something, or you do, look in the app, get the code, and go see it for $5.
There you go. All right, so 4 out of 5 stars for I Love Boosters from you.
And believe me, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to hate my recommendations. There are famous people that show up that then just aren't in the movie the rest of the time. There's plot lines.
Are they playing themselves or are they playing a character?
They're playing a character.
Okay.
You know, Eric Andre, he's a famous comedian. He's in it for a little bit, never spoken of again. Adam Devine, he pops up. Like, where did he go? I guess he had nothing to do with this. There is this great joke where one of the black characters, when she holds her breath, she turns white, and then she's able to shoplift without being, looked at weird.
Gosh.
But every time that she starts running on her breath, she has to duck down below the clothes and catch her breath again. And then she holds her breath, she turns white again. So it's a very heavy-handed take on capitalism and, racism and stuff. But it was so much fun to me. If you like Pee-wee's Playhouse, I think you'll really like I Love Boosters.
I don't remember capitalism being a theme in Pee-wee's Playhouse, though. That sounds a little bit of a...
Just more the whole vibe of Pee-wee's Playhouse.
The vibe, okay.
The music, the colors, the stop motion animation, the creativity. That's what I'm more thinking about.
Cowboy. I don't remember Commissar, but that's Lawrence Fishburne was the cowboy.
And Demi Moore, not to be sexist, but she still looks great. I think she's like 90 years old now or something, but she's wonderful.
So there we go, and we have let's see, BK on the air from Cartersville says, "Hey James and Joey,
hey, what's up?"
Olivia Miller says, "Sounds like real life, and I live here in California with everything locked up behind the counter, everything like that." Spike says, "Heidi Ho" from Lost in Space Toys and Collectibles. And Joseph Rogers is watching as well, trying to make sure I keep an eye on everything. So obviously I went. This has been a week-long celebration of Mandalorian because last week was Star Wars Day at the ballpark at Busch Stadium. So we had our Mandalorian and Grogu shirts. The 501st was there. We had pictures of me with Mandalorian and Boba Fett and R2-D2. The droid makers were there.
You don't do well in the sun. Did you stay for the whole game?
We were in the shade, luckily.
Thank
we were
goodness.
on my family kind of took that into consideration, and then we were way up in the top, but we got the shady side of the of Busch Stadium, so we're across from Big Mac Land, and the weather was gorgeous that day. It wasn't too bad. I did get sunburnt on the walk back to the car, though. Because we parked in front of the Monsanto building, and it's, about 4 blocks walks, 4 or 5 blocks walk. Just walking back to the car, I woke up the next morning like, I'm sunburnt. That's how bad I get sunburned because I'm so flippin' pale.
The big thing right now is the tarps off movement where in the right field, the audience has their shirt off and they're swilling them over their head, and the rest of Major League Baseball has taken a hint from Cardinals Nation, and they've started doing it as well. And I could picture James up there with his wonderful wife, just shirts off and just rooting on the home team.
You know when you're looking across something and you catch the light of a mirror in the sun and it kind of reflects, that's why no one would ever be able to see me because I just... What's that blinding spot over there? Someone's flashing a mirror in the camera. No, it's just I'm that pale that I reflect the light back. It'd be awful. No one would want to see that. But no, so anyway, we started out that Sunday. We were kind of leading up to tomorrow, which is officially Star Wars Day, the 25th of May, 1977, is when the original Star Wars came out in theaters. So even though May the 4th is a Star Wars thing, people always say Star Wars Day is actually the 25th. So if you want to celebrate Star Wars Day, you might want to go out and see The Mandalorian and Grogu, which is a continuation of the series. Obviously, we got 3 seasons of Mandalorian. We got part of his story in the Book of Boba Fett. And this movie, one of the things I loved about the movie is it felt very much like that first season of Mandalorian, which everyone was kind of like, they're doing a Mandalorian series? People were not sure. But that first series was so captivating of people who loved Star Wars because it's set in the era right after the events of Return of the Jedi. The New Republic is kind of trying to keep peace and sweep away the remnants of the old empire, the Galactic Empire. but there are still hanging-ons. There's still like the little outpost on Navarre that you might remember from season 1 of Mandalorian. Werner Herzog was the Imperial remnant who was there with some scattered stormtroopers who was kind of keeping a chokehold. And then, of course, obviously we had Giancarlo Esposito as Moff Gideon wielding the dark saber. So it's got all this stuff that they brought in because Dave Filoni obviously is the showrunner on Mandalorian. So he brought in all these things from Clone Wars and Star Wars lore, and it just made Mandalorian season 1 so incredible. And season 2 built upon that because then we got that cameo at the last episode where, the X-Wing, the single lone X-Wing is coming in for a landing to rescue them when they're being attacked by those dark trooper droids. They think they've had it. And then all of a sudden that green lightsaber ignites from the elevator and Luke Skywalker comes out in his black Jedi robe, cutting through these super dark troopers, they were called, but they're droids, like heavy firepower droids. He rescues them. The season 3 of Mandalorian for me was a little uneven. It was, some of the stuff was like, whoa, some of it was decent. But the Star Wars brand, and I was mentioning this to you off air, a lot of people are saying, is Star Wars even a movie brand anymore? Is it now a TV brand? Because there's been so many TV series, and the last Star Wars movie that came out didn't do so well at the box office. It's been, 7 years since the Rise of Skywalker, which a lot of people, The Last Jedi turned a lot of people off. Rise of Skywalker tried to course correct, and it alienated the people who liked Last Jedi, and it wasn't enough for the people who wanted it to be what we all wanted Star Wars to be, which was the Thrawn trilogy. And if you're listening to me right now and thinking I'm speaking Greek, some of you are sticking with me, so I'm getting a little deep in the weeds, but that's all to say they bring all this together for The Mandalorian and Grogu, which is the movie that came out this weekend. There's aspects, someone asked me as we were leaving, I got a picture in front of the big cardboard thing. Laura and I got a picture, and he goes, oh, did you see it? I said, yeah, I did. He goes, was it pretty good? Yeah, I liked it. Am I going to be lost if I've never seen Mandalorian, like the series? I'm like, well, kind of, because you're going to have to know who the characters are, but there's enough there where if you haven't ever seen it, you'll get the idea, because it's the lone wolf and cub, right? You've got the Mandalorian and little Grogu. So it's that, old lone wolf and cub kind of trope. It's good on its own merits. There's a lot of Star Wars-ness in it. They build a lot of stuff that's you'll recognize things from the original trilogy. They bring in aspects of the Clone Wars series. But again, you don't necessarily need to see all this stuff to understand what goes on in the movie. It will enhance your enjoyment greatly because there's callbacks to, like he's called to go rescue Rhoda the Hutt, who is Jabba's, Jabba Jr. basically. We see him in the Clone Wars as a small, much smaller version, because that took place quite a ways, 40, 50 years ago, before the setting we find ourselves in now. There's the battle droids are riding around on those little staps, they call them, and they're flying through the area on Nal Hutta, which is the Hutt's planet, which we saw those in episode 1 on Naboo. The droids are riding those things around. There's AT-ATs. The whole opening scene has this great, he's tracking down these old Imperial governors who are kind of hanging on to power, and he goes after this one on this planet, and he has to fight 3 giant AT-ATs. And it's what you saw in the previews. That's the opening of the movie. It's almost like a Bond movie because it opens with this spectacular action piece before the credits roll. It was the credits kind of almost look Top Gun-esque in the way they're presented with the Mandalorian theme under it. All that to say, you don't need to have seen all the things I just mentioned to enjoy the movie, but it will greatly help. I know this is the #1 movie at the box office this weekend, $82 million, I think, so far. It's on track to possibly make 102, which, sad to say, that's the lowest earning movie of any Star Wars movie since Disney took over the franchise in 2012, which is kind of mind-boggling. But even Solo did slightly better at the box office over its Memorial Day weekend opening.
Yeah, it looks like 145 worldwide. It's almost like even, 81 domestic, 63 international. So I guess the pretty pictures are translating overseas.
And I think international probably will do it, because I'm not sure if Star Wars fatigue is a uniquely American thing or if European people feel the same way about it. I don't know. I know worldwide Star Wars is a beloved franchise. It's a known quantity, but it has been damaged over the year by some bad moves on the part of Disney. People thought we were going to get a return, like, oh my gosh, we can't wait. And Disney just made a lot of questionable moves with the franchise, in my opinion. Not all mistakes. I liked a lot of the stuff that a lot of people hated on, but there were enough questionable material that I think the brand is definitely damaged. And hopefully enough people will get out there and see this movie, enjoyed the aspects of it that I enjoyed. Because at the end of the day, if you like Star Wars, you want it to succeed. You shouldn't be actively rooting for it to fail just because you preferred the original trilogy or just because the prequel trilogy was your thing and you don't like the Disney stuff. At the end of the day, you're still getting Star Wars. And I think what we want this is to succeed, and we kind of want it to course correct and go back to the Star Wars we would all like to see. And I think there are aspects we're seeing some of that. They're trying to right the ship. So my recommendation is, if you are maybe in the position Outdoors Dan is that I'm done with Star Wars, give it a shot. If you liked Mandalorian Season 1 and 2, you will love this movie. If you're unsure and you're kind of, give it a shot. Go in with an open mind, because if you go in with a negative attitude, of course you're not going to like it. But also, I don't want people's hopes to get so hyped up that they're, oh, this is going to be amazing, and they're let down, which has happened to me with movies before. On a scale of 5 stars, I give this movie 3.5 out of 5 stars. There were little couple nitpicks, and I don't want to say any spoilers, but we get some cool cameos in it. There's no Luke Skywalker, there's no Ahsoka Tano, but there's a couple cool cameos from characters you'll recognize if you're a fan of the franchise and if you've liked what they've done in the past. So 3.5 out of 5 stars for me, Mandalorian and Grogu. Go see it in theaters now.
Yeah, George Lucas has always argued that he is aiming for kids, 12-year-olds specifically. So some of the people that saw it in 77 may just be more nitpicky than the 12-year-olds that like the bright colors. I mean, look at, these other kids' movies that have made billions that maybe we don't like. So give it a chance.
I'm a kid at heart. We've had the previews for Minions and Monsters come up today, and I'm in. I liked what I saw at the preview. I think it looks hilarious.
Yeah, it looks like they're making fun or belovedly talking about the movie industry as a whole. So that looks like a fun take on the Minions franchise.
Yeah, I think it'll be a good one. So yeah, that's it. So 4 out of 5 stars from Joey V on I Love Boosters. 3.5 out of 5 stars from me on Mandalorian and Grogu. Go out and see these in the theater. Please go support your local theaters, because when they go away, you'll be sad and you'll have to see everything streaming. And buy physical media, for crying out loud. I just bought a new DVD this weekend of Hard Rain, Christian Slater, Morgan Freeman, Betty White, and Ed Asner from 1998. I made Laura watch it. She actually liked it. So go out and buy physical media too. That's going to do it for me. Thanks again to Brian Haberlin. Aria Omnibus Kickstarter available now. I don't have to turn the camera around because I saw Joey V was on camera right now. So thank you to Joey V for making the show sound and look as good as it does. Thank you to all of you for your comments and questions. And until next week, my friends.
This is Geek to Me Radio. That's our show. This is Geek to Me Radio.
Night in St. Louis. Good night.
Think smart.